Hello everyone, for this lesson you will need a pen and some paper to write on. We're going to continue learning about the Making Salts Required practical, and our aim is to be able to answer a 6-mark question like the one on your screen. So we've got, explain how pure dry crystals of the soluble salt, copper sulfate, can be produced from the insoluble metal oxide and dilute acid, and that is a 6-mark question. So I have 2 questions for you to check your understanding of the question. Number 1, what does soluble and insoluble mean? And number 2, which acid will be used to make copper sulfate? Pause the video now and try to answer those 2 questions. Okay, soluble. The word soluble means that the chemical is able to dissolve in a liquid. Insoluble means that the chemical cannot dissolve in the liquid. And number 2, the acid used to make copper sulfate, well, the sulfate here gives us a clue, so we will be using dilute sulfuric acid. Here we have pictures of the equipment used in this experiment. What I want you to do is to write 1 to 8 on your piece of paper and try to identify as many of these pieces of equipment as you can. 2 are a little bit harder. They are pictures with multiple pieces of equipment on them. Pause the video now and try to name as much as you can. Okay, let's go through the answers. I want you to mark this yourself, tick and cross, and add in the names of anything you got wrong. Number 1, we have a stirring rod. Number 2 is a spatula. Number 3 is a beaker. Number 4 has 2 pieces of equipment. We've got the filter funnel on the outside, and there is a piece of filter paper on the inside. Number 5, I'll be impressed if you get this one right. It is an evaporating basin. Number 6 is a Bunsen burner. Number 7, we've got multiple pieces of equipment here. We have a tripod, we have a gauze on top of it, which would stop the beaker falling through the tripod, and all of that is sat on a heat-proof mat. So there are 3 pieces of equipment for number 7, and finally number 8 is a conical flask. The next thing you need to do is to draw a table like the one on your screen now. You need to get yourself a ruler and make sure you do this neatly. It needs to be quite large, so we're talking about half the page. And this is what you're going to use to fill in that table. So write down step number 1 in your table. Use to add copper oxide to the sulfuric acid. That is step number 1. Then, which of these equipment here would be used to carry out step number 1? Then the same thing for step number 2. Use to heat up the mixture to speed up the reaction. Step number 3, use to filter the mixture. And step number 4, use to produce crystals from the solution. I don't want you to use any equipment that you've got in your head. Your choices are these pieces of equipment. You can do more than 1 for each step, and you can use the same ones multiple times. But out of these pictures here, which ones are involved in which step? Complete your results table and then upload that back to ClassCharts.